Welcome. This is Reverend Valerie Love, also known as KAISI, and you are on Bitcoin Explained Simply. This is a new show that we're doing on the channel, and depending upon when you're watching it, it could be new to you, or perhaps it could have been many years ago that we put this series out. Either way, whenever you're watching it, know that you're watching it at the perfect time for you, because I really believe in the perfection of this entire universe and that everything's always happening perfectly. This is a new show on the channel, and it is Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when the new vids are released for 4 weeks. We're now in the 4th week, and this is episode 14. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's amazing. What are we talking about in this episode of Bitcoin Explained Simply? We're talking about wallets and exchanges. Now, pardon me, there's something very important that you must know about Bitcoin, and that is custody. Custody. You will hear this word a lot in Bitcoin land. Custody, especially with regard to your wealth. So before we go into wallets and exchanges, it's very important to understand this overarching concept, because I believe in big picture, and then we can ratchet it down to the tiny particles. Let's start with the big picture. Custody. What does that word mean to you? And what comes up for you when you hear that word? Now, for thousands of years, humanity has always self-custodied our wealth, our possessions. So for instance, in the age of gold, we held gold individually before it was taken to the bank, right? There was the age of the banks. But long before that, for thousands of years, humanity has been on this planet, and humanity has self-custodied. You hold your goods. You hold your property. You custody your own wealth. So when we were using seashells for wealth, when we were using glass beads, when we were using cowrie shells, there have been all kinds of things that have been used as money or wealth over the years, the millennia that we've been on this planet, gold being the primary one, we held it. So it's just like my grandmother and grandfather. I grew up in 2 Depression era parents. I'm in the baby boomer generation. My parents did see the Great Depression, and their parents lived through a lot of horrors as well. Well, my grandmother, she used to keep this Crisco can. I don't know if you know what Crisco is, but it's this cooking oil that they used to use back in the day. I don't know if they still sell it, but anyway. Once you clean out the Crisco can, because my grandmother was the great recycler, she never threw anything out from a jelly jar to anything else. It just became useful items in the kitchen. Well, the Crisco can served to be a great bank, because what she did was she cleaned out, once all the fat was used from it, all the grease, pardon me, for frying food and things like that, she would wash it out really well, and it had a plastic lid. And she just cut a slit in the lid, and she would just put coins in it or dollar bills in it. After a while, she would have a full Crisco can. That was what custody was about. They did not take all their money to the bank. Back in the day, people even got their paychecks cashed and actually walked around with cash. So you are holding your own wealth. Now, this is somewhat of a foreign concept now, because people are so used to the bank getting their money before they do. Like when people pay me in my businesses, the bank gets, when they pay me in fiat currency, which is the currency of the government, when they pay me in that kind of money, the bank gets the money before I do, because it goes through the banks and then it comes to your account. Same thing probably if you work for an employer and you don't have your own businesses or companies, the bank gets your money before you do, that's really weird. And that is really recent. Now, with Bitcoin, that is not the case, because as you've already heard from some of our prior episodes, Bitcoin is a bearer instrument. It is your own property that you push directly to another person with no need for a third party in the middle, permissionless and peer-to-peer. So you don't need a bank. So that's the whole idea and the premise of custody. Now let's look a little deeper at this idea. Bitcoin will make you grow up. And the reason I say this is because Bitcoin makes you take responsibility and take charge of your wealth. I know that this may seem like a big thing, especially as your Bitcoin holdings grow and grow and grow. It is a big deal. And I'm not saying that you have to be the one to custody your Bitcoin forever and ever. Amen. Because you don't. You have a complete choice as to how you custody your wealth. The whole idea that we're talking about here is it will have you take responsibility because you will still have to know enough about Bitcoin. It's said that it takes hundreds of hours of research to understand Bitcoin. You will still have to have the responsibility of understanding Bitcoin so that you can choose the best custody options for you and your family. So either way, whether you choose to custody or whether you choose to pay someone to custody or a combination of both, it still is going to be your responsibility to understand Bitcoin so that you can invest in it, so that you do grow wealth with it, and then how to secure it and keep it generation over generation. That's all your responsibility. Now, let's talk about keys. Now, you may remember in a prior episode, in an earlier episode, we spoke about public keys and private keys. So to give you just a little snapshot again, because this is Bitcoin explained simply, keys, everyone knows what keys are. That's easy. Public keys. Public keys are the same as the address to your house. The address to your house, if you live on 123 Main Street, is public knowledge. It's public information. Everybody knows it. It's in the land records, 123 Main Street. And then who owns it? That's all public. And it's public that you own it. So public keys is the address that you give to people to come to your house, right? You're having a big party on Saturday night. You give everyone the address. The address is on the invitation so that they can put it in the GPS, drive to your house, and yay, come to the party. Same with Bitcoin. Your public key is the address you give someone for them to push the Bitcoin over to you at that address. Private keys, on the other hand, are what unlocks the Bitcoin and shows ownership of the Bitcoin. So let's compare it once again to your house to continue this analogy. You have keys to your house, or you have a key card, or you have something that allows you to access the house at any time because it's your house. The same with Bitcoin. It has private keys that only you own. You don't show those to anyone. You don't give them to anyone. So the whole idea here is that you have a house, property belongs to you. Everyone knows the address. That in no way threatens your ownership of the property. As a matter of fact, with real estate, we make it public so that everyone knows you own this property, and the same as it is on blockchain. Everyone knows you own this property. They don't have your name and address and all that, like what they have at land records, but they do have the address. They have some basic, simple information on where this Bitcoin lives. Yet, just because we know where it is doesn't mean we can access it. Just like if I know where your house is, 123 Main Street, that doesn't mean I can access your house. And if I did access your house, that would be called robbery, right? Or breaking and entering. You alone hold the keys to your house. Now, this is very, very, very simple. So I'm sure this is very clear when it comes to Bitcoin. When you have a Bitcoin wallet, you have public keys and you have private keys. Now, you don't see them like you see it. It's all digital, right? Because this is all happening on the internet. So you're not going to see the keys like ching, 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 dangling from the keychain. Just think of it in terms of your house and it'll be really simple. Now that you understand the concept of custody and now that you understand the concept of keys, let's talk wallets. You have either custodial wallets or non-custodial wallets. What's the difference? A custodial wallet is a wallet that says, hey, I'll hold your public and your private keys for you. A non-custodial wallet says, hey, we're holding your public key, yet you are alone are holding your private key. Well, what's the difference? Well, first, let me give you some examples of public keys and then, or public, we'll come back to these in a moment. Let's give you an idea of some custodial wallets. Coinbase is a custodial wallet. That means that if you have Bitcoin in Coinbase, Coinbase is holding your private keys for you. It's like you took the keys to your house and said, hey, here, hold this for me and keep it safe. You're entrusting it to them. And that is a big problem in Bitcoin land because Bitcoin has an ethos. And part of the ethos of Bitcoin is not your coins, not your keys. I'll show you that right here. Here's Bitcoin law. Not your keys, not your coins. Period. End of story. So if you trust, and remember in Bitcoin, part of the ethos to continue this ethos understanding is that if it's not your keys, not your coins, then that also means that I don't have to trust someone else because I'm going to hold it myself. See, if you decide that you are not going to hold it yourself, then you have to trust Coinbase. You're giving Coinbase the keys to your house and you're saying, hey, Coinbase, I trust you. Well, I don't trust any of them. And the whole beauty of Bitcoin is that you don't have to trust. You can verify it for yourself. So the whole trust thing, because Bitcoin itself is trustless, you don't have to trust anyone because we have math. The math already calculated that this is correct. We have truth based on math. So these custodial wallets like Coinbase, Gemini, PayPal, Venmo, they're holding your keys for you. That means you have to trust them. You have to trust them to keep their whole end of the bargain up and keep your wealth safe. You've given them the keys to your house and you went away on vacation and you say, hey, keep my house safe. Keep my house from burglars. Well, that's a big ask because people know, hackers know that there's a ton of Bitcoin at Coinbase. So hackers are trying to hack Coinbase. There's been many exchanges and wallets that have been hacked over the years. Many. I'm not saying that Coinbase is going to get hacked. I don't know if it will or won't. What I'm saying is that if they do get hacked, pardon me, the phone was ringing. If they do get hacked with your money in there, your money could be gone. So let's say you have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in Coinbase. Coinbase gets hacked. I'm sure they probably have some kind of insurance for it or whatever. I don't know. I do know that if they get hacked and they're holding the keys, that means they're holding access to your coins. That means they're holding your coins. You no longer have access to them. I won't say you won't have access to them. You're not proving ownership of them because my mom taught us a very powerful thing when we were coming up, and it's very true. Possession is 9/10 of the law. You're not holding it anymore. You gave the holding of it to Coinbase or Gemini or PayPal or Venmo or many others that are custodial wallets. Well, you're trusting them that they're going to put their security in place and not get hacked and steal your money. Your money's in there. You're trusting them that they themselves won't steal your money. You're trusting them that they don't have a rogue employee that's trying to zap a little bit of Bitcoin out of each person's wallet. You're trusting them that if the IRS came along and say, hey, we want to seize this list of people's Bitcoin, that they wouldn't hand it over. You can't trust them for that because they will hand it over. If the IRS comes to Coinbase right now and says, here, we're seizing these people's Bitcoins, give us the keys, they will. That's the law. So it's a big ask. It's a big ask to give your keys to any of these people and just walk away and leave your Bitcoin there. No. And especially, I want to give you a special warning here. If it's easy and convenient, consider that a red flag. If it's very easy and very convenient, that ought to prompt your spidey senses to go on full alert so that you read the fine print and you do your research. It's easy now to hop over to Google and ask Google, is this wallet custodial? It's easy to hop on YouTube and look at about 3 or 4 or 5 videos to understand the wallet that you are getting ready to use. And the express reason that I did not give you any wallets in this video is because I want you to do this very thing, is do your research. Because every wallet is not suited for every person, obviously. And because you alone are culpable for the wallets you choose. None of this is financial advice. This is simply information. Now let's go back a little bit. Let's go to custodial versus non-custodial. You understand that part. You understand public and private keys. Now we're going to go to, and you understand Bitcoin law, not your keys, not your coins. Let's look at some considerations. You're thinking, wow, KAISI, this is a lot to consider. It is a lot to consider. And here's what I want you to consider. When you consider where you're going to put your Bitcoin, what wallet you're going to use, what exchanges you're going to use, please consider your level of either ignorance or proficiency with whatever you're doing in Bitcoin, because there are countless stories of people who lost their password, don't know what they did with their Bitcoin, can't get back into their Bitcoin wallet, pardon me, and did not realize that if you yourself are holding your keys, guess what that means? If you lose your password to your account, that's considered a private key, no one's going to give it to you. Now see, Coinbase, they're holding your keys. So if you lose your password to Coinbase is really like a bank as far as I'm concerned, a fiat bank. You just email Coinbase, oh, I forgot my password. They'll help you. They'll help you get right into your account because they're holding the keys. So they are making it very easy for you and convenient for you. You can still be somewhat of a bank baby using Coinbase. I'm talking about just the basic Coinbase. I'm not talking about Coinbase Pro, which is more for trading. And I'm not talking about Coinbase Commerce, which I also use for receiving Bitcoin payments. I'm just talking about the baby Coinbase where, you're a complete noob and Coinbase is ubiquitous. So you're probably going to start at Coinbase like a whole bunch of us did. So you want to really consider, how much do I know about what I'm doing? Because Bitcoin does not work like regular money, family. You want to understand your level of ignorance. If you do not know what you are doing, then you need to put in that time and energy and work to find out. You need to learn. Now, I'm not saying that you have to learn before you buy Bitcoin, because of course, stack sats. Go ahead and buy yourself some sats. But before you pick any particular wallet, it's very easy for you to go on. You don't have to know everything about Bitcoin. It's very easy for you to go online and just look up that particular wallet you're considering. Look at the pros, look at the cons, learn something. So that's the first thing you have to consider. How much do I know about what I'm doing? Because when I first started in Bitcoin in 2014, I didn't know anything. Wow, I've learned so much. And I love it. I love Bitcoin. You know, on my Clubhouse bio, it says Bitcoin is my husband. But anyway, okay, let's go to the second consideration. Your heirs. And I know we're not thinking that anything's going to happen to you. Of course, you're going to live forever, not forever in this life. You're going to live a very long, happy, fruitful, fulfilling, wonderful life, blissful life in this time-space continuum. And when you're ready to move on, you have your heirs to consider. Now, if you have your Bitcoin all over the place and all these different exchanges and all these different wallets, and you have no written formalized plan of where it is, your heirs are never going to find it. It's not like a bank. If something happens to someone that you love, you already know they bank at. You can go through their paperwork and you can see where they bank. They bank at Wells Fargo. They have this life insurance policy. They have that. You can go through their file cabinet and you can find exactly everything you need to know about that person, even if that person passed and did not leave a well-orchestrated, organized, precise, and well laid out estate plan. Like Prince. I don't think Prince left an estate plan, and I think it's still up for grabs because that probate stuff takes years. But anyway, you want to think about your heirs because this stuff is digital. How would anyone know it exists if they didn't know what you were doing? Maybe they have your phone and they have a few of your wallets that are on your phone apps, but they still don't know how to access them because they don't know the passwords and they don't know how you have it set up. So you want to consider your heirs because we've heard some Bitcoin horror stories about people that passed on and oh my goodness, the heirs trying to get that money. It was rough. You also want to consider timing. If you're buying coin, if you're using Coinbase, I'm not saying don't use Coinbase. I'm just saying understand what you're doing when you use Coinbase. If your timing is, hey, I'm just buying some Bitcoin right now on Coinbase, and then I'm going to move it into deep cold storage. Hey, all well and good. The timing is not going to be on Coinbase for very long. This is a short-term buy. You also want to think about the purpose of this Bitcoin. Is this purpose of this Bitcoin that I'm going to buy it, I'm going to hold it, it's never going to be used? Or is the purpose of this Bitcoin that you're going to buy some of this Bitcoin, you're going to put it in some kind of cash reserve thing, or you're going to put it in a Lightning wallet, and you're going to be actually doing some transactions? Let's say you go to Bitcoin Beach down in El Salvador, and you're actually going to be using the Bitcoin. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's a custodial wallet because you're using it, right? It's for transactions. So all these things really have to go into the mix when you consider, where am I going to buy my Bitcoin? How am I going to hold my Bitcoin? Now, let's talk about exchanges, and then we're going to finish up with wallets. What is an exchange? An exchange, very similar to a wallet, is just like a Coinbase or a Gemini, where you can exchange dollars, fiat currency, for Bitcoin. That's all it is. It's just an exchange. You just put in cash, you get Bitcoin. That's very simple. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can even go to a Bitcoin teller machine and you can put in cash and it'll zip the Bitcoin equivalent plus some pretty high fees, pretty steep fees, into a Bitcoin wallet digitally that you send it to. So Coinbase is an exchange, and you can also exchange not just fiat dollars for Bitcoin. You can exchange Bitcoin for shit coins. I don't know why you would ever want to do that. You can. So you could exchange Bitcoin to Ethereum, or you could exchange Ethereum to Doge, whatever, if you're Elon Musk. But if you are a Bitcoiner, you would not do that. See, Bitcoiners act different than other people. If you're a Bitcoiner, you're probably buying the Bitcoin you're going to hodl forever till the cows come home and become very wealthy. Remember the 3 rules of Bitcoin? Stack sats, that's smash buy, keep buying Bitcoin. That's number 1, buy Bitcoin. Number 2 is shut the fuck up. Number 3 is become fabulously wealthy. That is the code of honor for a Bitcoin maximalist. Some people call us toxic. I call it reality. All right. We've already talked about beware. Now we're going to talk about hot wallets and cold storage. This is for your long-term storage of your Bitcoin. So what is a hot wallet? A hot wallet is very simple. Any wallet that touches the internet. That's all. Cold storage, any storage that does not touch the internet. That is it. It's super easy. So it would stand to reason that all of the wallets that you have on your phone, they're all hot. And cold storage are things like Trezor, Nano Ledger, cold Keep Key, which is a cold storage option as well. So there's a few cold storage options. That means these are devices that do not touch the internet. And some of them, if you go cold card, if you go to something that's really, really cold, they have some that are even air gapped. That means you don't ever have to even have the actual device touch the internet at all. Now, with some of them, they do have to touch the internet for a minute for you to move the Bitcoin over, and then you disconnect it from the internet and you stash your cold card, your cold storage, that little device, you stash it somewhere where you would stash gold. Where would you stash a pile of $1 million? Where would you stash a kilo of gold? That's what you want to think about. So perhaps you might want to do something like a vault. Maybe some people, there's all different kinds of schemes of how you could do it. Get creative. You could put it in some kind of safe. You could certainly put it, some people do wall safes. Some people do safes that are like cemented into the floor in the basement. Oh, there's all kinds of things that people do for that device because, that device, it could hold millions of dollars of wealth on one device. I wouldn't do one device for millions of dollars of wealth. I'm just giving you some ideas. You certainly could do 2 or 3 devices. You certainly could do, in addition to 2 or 3 devices, you could do now what they call multi-sig. Multi-sig means you need several keys to unlock the Bitcoin. So how you have a house and you just have one lock on your door? Well, that's one level of security. But what if you put 2 locks on your door? What if you put 3 locks on your door and an alarm? What if you put 3 locks on the door and an alarm and locks on all the windows? Do you see that you can continue to step up your level of safety, security, lockdownness, I guess you could call it. Lock that Bitcoin down so that it is safe and sound. Okay. Now you're going to understand all of this. How? Here's the best way that you're going to understand how to do all of this. You're going to do it. Isn't that scary? You're going to do it. And you're going to do it with a little bit of money. Do $10. Get $10 worth of Bitcoin, $5, $20. Okay, something you will not miss. This is not an investment. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system, of the emergency Bitcoin system. Does this work? And just open a few wallets and get the $10. Let's say go to Coinbase or something like that, or whatever exchange you want to use, and put your $10 in. They'll connect to your bank account. And the $10 will shoot over to the exchange, and then you buy the Bitcoin for $10 plus a couple little cents of fee. Let's help the miners, pay the miners, right? To secure the network. Now you have $10 worth of Bitcoin. Then push that $10 worth of Bitcoin over to one of your other wallets. Oh, okay. You see how that works. You see you paid a couple of sats, Satoshis for the transaction. Then push it over to another wallet. See how that wallet works. Then push it over to another wallet. See how that wallet works. See, because they're all different and they'll all operate a little differently. The only way you're going to really learn is by doing it. You can watch video after video after video, and I pray that you watch all these videos. At some point, at some juncture, you will have to take action. And when you take that action, hey, You don't have to do a cannonball into the pool. Toes wet in the kiddie pool. $10, $20. I certainly wouldn't start out if I know nothing and just throw $10,000 into Bitcoin unless you just have $10,000 that you don't mind if you don't know how to keep your keys, that something may happen to it. I mean, people lost a whole lot more Bitcoin than $10,000. I'll tell you that, but people have lost millions in Bitcoin because they didn't know what they were doing. Don't let that be you. When you pay attention. See, it's free for you to watch this video. It just requires your energy and your attention. When you are watching videos, you're not paying money. I promise you this. If you buy Bitcoin with your hard-earned money and you start to work with it, you will pay close attention to it because you paid. So you now have skin in the game. And I pray you become a Bitcoiner. All right. Next episode coming right up. Peace and love. ValerieLove.com/Bitcoin. And please do read the blog, ValerieLove.com/blog. Peace.